Hey guys, tonight we dive into one of the most twisted, high-stakes dramas in Roman imperial history. The kind of tale that's equal parts power grab, family feud, and murder mystery. You're not watching this, you're in it. You are Agrippina the Younger, and you're about to carve your way to the top of the most dangerous empire on Earth. The moon hangs low over the Mediterranean, the Tiber River runs black under the night sky, and the air in Rome is thick with the scent of whetstone and rotting ambition. There's no place for innocence here. And let's be honest, you probably won't survive this, but we're going to try. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Comment your location and the local time. It's always fun to see who else is lying in bed right now wondering why Rome was just one giant crime scene. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're born in AD 15, in a world already splattered in blood. Your mother is Agrippina the Elder, a name you'll one day carry like a crown and a curse. She's proud, intense, and married to Germanicus, Rome's golden boy general. Think military hero mixed with celebrity heartthrob, and just enough danger to make people whisper. Your father dies when you're just a toddler. Or maybe, just maybe, he was poisoned. Scholars still argue whether Tiberius, the emperor at the time, saw Germanicus as too beloved, too powerful. But what matters more is the aftermath. You learn early that in Rome, loyalty gets you killed faster than betrayal. You're a Julio-Claudian, descendant of emperors, sister of emperors, mother of emperors. Sounds fancy, but the family tree you're born into is less lineage and more body count. You don't play with dolls, you memorize names. Caligula, Claudius, Tiberius, each one a potential threat or pawn. You don't play house, you watch power plays around dinner tables. Your mother tries to keep you safe, but Rome doesn't care about mothers. She fights with Tiberius, accuses him of murder, and gets herself exiled. You see her dragged away, starving, bruised, still screaming that her children must survive. You're just a child when you realize survival is not about strength, it's about patience. So you grow quiet, you observe, you learn how to fade into the background when necessary and smile when expected. Every look you give someone is calculated. Every word measured like poison in a cup. Mainstream historians like to romanticize Roman women as demure matrons. But here's your reality. If you don't play the game, you become the game. Like your mother, like your cousins, like every other woman who thought love or decency could protect her. At night you lie awake in silk sheets, listening to whispers in the marble halls, senators scheming, guards shifting. You wonder what it feels like to hold true power in your own hands, not borrowed, not inherited, yours. You're raised under the rule of your great-uncle Tiberius, who practically invented quiet terror. You watch your older brothers fall, one by one, poisoned, starved, imprisoned, suicides, suspicious accidents. You memorize what not to do. And when you look around, you realize something. Rome doesn't care how you win, only that you win. So you decide, even as a girl, that you won't beg or flatter or trust. You'll endure. You'll outlast. You'll use charm like a dagger. And when the time comes, you'll kill with a smile. You are Agrippina the Younger, and your story is just beginning. Somewhere deep in the palace, a torch flickers. A slave whispers something urgent. A senator changes alliances mid-sentence. Another cousin mysteriously disappears from public life. And you're still a teenager, nodding politely at parties, dressed in gold and silence. No one suspects you yet. They will. You get your first real taste of chaos, not through violence, but through waiting. You're still young when your uncle Tiberius dies, and your brother Caligula becomes emperor. At first, it feels like a miracle. You remember being swept through Rome in a litter, people shouting his name, petals in the streets, incense in the air. You're a princess now, royalty, safe. For maybe 3 weeks. Because Caligula, well, he changes. Fast. At first, it's just strange behavior, laughing too loud, speaking to statues, making his horse a senator. You think it's a joke. It has to be. But soon, the fear creeps in. He looks at you differently, not like a sister, more like property. You never forget the moment he publicly lists you among his wives, half in jest, half in warning. You smile, politely, like you're in on it. Everyone laughs, but your hands shake all night. Scholars still argue whether Caligula's madness was real or political theater, whether it was syphilis, stress, or just good old Roman narcissism. But to you, it doesn't matter, because you live with him, and nothing is funny anymore. You see senators humiliate themselves daily to avoid suspicion. You watch people vanish. Once at dinner, a man corrects Caligula's Latin, and by morning, he's been corrected permanently. You learn how to be invisible. No strong opinions, no sudden movements, compliments, always, curtsies, deep, smiles, constant, even when your jaw aches from holding it. You marry around this time. Not for love, obviously. You marry Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus. His name sounds like a threat, and he sort of looks like one too. But he has lineage, money, and more importantly, no ambition, which makes him safe, boring, exactly what you need. He's unpleasant, but tolerable. He drinks too much and swears too loudly, but that's common. The real blessing is that he doesn't meddle in politics. You keep your head down. You play the wife. You get pregnant. It's a strange kind of power, carrying a child in Rome. Your womb isn't just a womb. It's a political tool, a future claim to the throne, a new piece on the board. You can feel Rome watching you swell with interest, or calculation. You give birth to a son. You name him Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus. Someday, the world will know him as Nero. But for now, he's just a squirming infant with unsettlingly intense eyes. People whisper that you're ambitious, that you're raising your son to be more than just a senator's brat. They're not wrong. Meanwhile, Caligula is spiraling. He bankrupts the empire on games and architecture. He declares himself a living god. He dances at night wearing nothing but gold dust. Eventually, the Praetorian Guard has enough. One day, in a shadowy hallway of the palace, Caligula is stabbed over 30 times. His blood pools across the mosaics as Rome collectively pretends to be shocked. You don't cry. Instead, you survive. Again. But survival isn't simple, because in the chaos after Caligula's death, a new emperor is declared. Claudius, your uncle. The stammering, awkward scholar, the one everyone thought was too slow, too soft to rule, you know better. Claudius may drool at dinner and collect obscure books on Etruscan law, but he understands one thing very well. Power is opportunity. And with Caligula gone, Claudius becomes the unexpected center of gravity in Rome. But you're in danger, because after Caligula's death, you're accused of conspiracy. Nothing is proven, no one has evidence, but that never stopped Rome before. Your husband dies, probably of illness, probably. Suddenly, you're a widow with a child and no protector. And so, in the chill of early morning, the guards arrive. You're arrested, your jewelry is taken, your robes are stripped down, and you're exiled to a rocky island off the coast of Italy. You leave Rome behind, your son still a toddler. You don't cry, you don't beg, you wait. The sea winds howl against the cliffs, salt coats your skin. You sleep on stone and write letters no one reads. But you listen, you collect rumors, you calculate. They think you're done. You're just getting started. So, you're in exile. You sleep in a modest villa overlooking a sea that doesn't care whether you're royalty or ruined. The furniture is plain, the food is boring, the guards are either silent or drunk. The only luxury here is the fact that you're still breathing. But honestly, you're not wasting time crying into your grain porridge. Because even here, on the rocky edge of nowhere, you're thinking, planning, watching the tides, literal and political. You may be far from Rome, but you've learned that the empire is never more than one death away from total reshuffling. And sure enough, while you're walking a dusty path one evening, word reaches you. Messalina is dead. Messalina, wife of Emperor Claudius, mother of his children, and a woman whose scandals could make Caligula blush. Scholars still argue whether she was truly as promiscuous and unhinged as the ancient sources claim, or if later historians just hated ambitious women. But regardless, she played the game and lost. She was executed in her garden. No trial, no ceremony, just silence and the faint smell of cut roses. And now the position of empress is vacant. You pause, maybe mid-step, letting the sea wind whip through your robes. Your heart doesn't race, not yet. You're too seasoned for that. But the pieces on the board have shifted, and suddenly you're not out of the game. You've spent years as a shadow, a rumor, a former noblewoman. Now it's time to slip back into the spotlight. Quietly, of course. You write to powerful men, former allies, old friends, even enemies. You flatter, you recall shared memories, shared favors. You remind them what you offer. Dignity, lineage, calm. You're not like Messalina. You're measured, mature, a mother. The whispers begin. What if Agrippina married Claudius? He's your uncle, your actual blood uncle. The Romans didn't love the idea, but let's be real, they also didn't hate it. This is the same crowd that watches gladiators be disemboweled for lunch entertainment. Morality is flexible. And besides, from a political standpoint, you're perfect. You have the Julio-Claudian blood. You're popular with the people, still remembered as the sister of Caligula, but none of his madness. You're a widow, you're not scandal-ridden, and you have a son. That part is key, because Claudius already has a biological son, Britannicus, but he's young, weak, and in need of guidance. You, however, come with a fully formed political prodigy, Lucius, Nero, whatever name sticks. So you're recalled to Rome. You re-enter not like a prisoner, but like a lady of the court. Your gowns are subtle but elegant, your hair is perfectly arranged, you speak softly and flatter constantly. You are the definition of discretion. Claudius marries you. Rome gasps. He rewrites Roman law to allow niece-uncle marriages, and suddenly your scandal becomes legal precedent. You don't blush. You don't look away. You just raise one perfect eyebrow and say, Rome sic fieri solet. This is how it's done in Rome. You are now Empress Agrippina, and for the first time, officially powerful. But you don't stop there. You immediately begin positioning Nero at court, tutors, honors, speeches, coins, statues. You whisper in Claudius's ear about succession, about loyalty, about how Nero would make a better emperor than little Britannicus. Claudius hesitates. He likes Britannicus, but you like you too, and you're very persuasive when you want to be. Eventually, Claudius adopts Nero as his own son. And just like that, your son is heir to the Roman Empire. Do you celebrate? Not outwardly. That would be clumsy. Instead, you smile sweetly at family dinners. You say things like, "We are all one family now." You compliment Britannicus on his sword drills. You nod graciously when senators call Nero the future of Rome. But you keep the wine cups small, because accidents happen when people get bold. One day, Claudius coughs during a meal, just a small thing. He waves it off. The next day, he's dead. Scholars still argue whether you poisoned him, possibly with mushrooms, possibly with a poisoned feather to help him vomit. But let's just say it's a little convenient, isn't it? You don't cry. Again. Instead, you make sure Nero is declared emperor before Britannicus can even ask for his sandals. You've done it. You were born into chaos, exiled, humiliated, trapped. And now you've returned, not just as a survivor, but as a kingmaker. You don't wear a crown. You don't need to. Everyone in Rome knows the real power sits behind the throne. So now you're empress. Technically, your son Nero is emperor, but let's be honest, you're the one holding the strings. From the outside, it looks like a perfect Roman fairy tale. You, the noble mother. Nero, the golden boy. The empire, back on track. Peace, prosperity, and family harmony. But from the inside, it's chess. Every hour of every day. Your palace is filled with flatterers, rivals, half-loyal senators, and charming liars. The walls have ears. The statues might as well be spies. You're constantly listening, smiling, correcting people without correcting them. And Nero? He's 16. Which is to say, impulsive, hormonal, dangerously stupid, and already a little too aware of his own fame. Still, you keep control, for now. You appoint Seneca, Rome's most fashionable philosopher, as Nero's tutor. Not because you believe in virtue, but because Seneca's clever and popular and knows how to talk Nero down from tantrums. You surround the boy with guards you trust, allies you've fed, and advisors who owe you everything. Every decree Nero signs, you write it first. Every meeting he attends, you choose who gets in. Even his signature, stylized, dramatic, overconfident, you help shape that too. But there's one problem. Nero is starting to enjoy being emperor. At first, it's harmless. He gives more speeches. He starts attending gladiator games with more flair. He asks for new robes. But then, he starts ignoring you. And that's new. Because until now, you've been the sun he orbits around, the reason he's even on the throne. But power does funny things to people, especially when you hand it to them on a silver plate. One night, he asks you not to attend a council meeting, just for optics, he says. Another day, he dismisses one of your allies without asking. You don't react, not visibly. You just sit by your window watching the Palatine Hill shimmer under moonlight, calculating. You didn't survive Caligula, exile, Messalina, and murder to be brushed aside by a teenager in eyeliner. So you begin adjusting. You remind people what you've done for Rome, what you've suffered. You increase your visibility. Temple dedications, public speeches, coins with your image beside Nero's. You sit behind him during Senate sessions, not next to him, behind, like a ghost in velvet, always watching. People start whispering, is Agrippina too powerful? Too visible? Exactly. Because power is maintained not by shouting, but by reminding people they should already be afraid. Still, cracks form. Nero takes a lover, Poppaea Sabina. She's ambitious, manipulative, and unlike you, she flatters him like he's already a god. You hate her instantly. Poppaea whispers poison into Nero's ear, that you're controlling him, that he's a man now, that Rome doesn't respect him because of you. You feel it happening, the slow turn. Once he kissed your hand before entering the Senate. Now he doesn't look at you at all. And then, one day, he strips your Praetorian Guard detail, just takes them away. No warning, no ceremony. It's humiliating, public, strategic. It's the first real sign that he's done being your puppet. You don't say a word, but your silence, that's the loudest thing in Rome that day. Still, it hurts. Not just the politics, the personal part too. You raised him, you protected him, you cleared a path littered with bodies so he could sit on a golden throne. And now he's trying to erase you. But remember who you are. You are Agrippina the Younger, the girl who watched her family die, the woman who married her uncle, the mother who made her child an emperor. And if Nero wants war, he has no idea who he's playing with. There's a special kind of betrayal that comes from your own child. It's slower, quieter. It doesn't announce itself like a sword. It comes in missed meetings, tight-lipped nods, official letters signed by someone else. You feel it like a dull ache, not fatal, but lingering, like a bruise you can't explain. You still live in the palace, of course. You still wear the jewels, still receive bows in the hallway, but something's shifted. The courtiers hesitate longer before greeting you. The servants glance nervously toward Nero before speaking. The statues look more smug than silent. You're becoming the past. And that is unacceptable. So you try one last move. A desperate, brilliant gambit, one that only you could attempt with a straight face. You start promoting Britannicus. Yes, that Britannicus. The biological son of Claudius, Nero's stepbrother, the boy you previously swept aside to make Nero emperor. That boy. Because if Nero won't obey, maybe someone else will. You start praising Britannicus in public. You mention Claudius fondly. You say things like, he would have made such a thoughtful ruler. Subtle things. Dangerous things. Rome starts whispering, and Nero hears every word. So he acts. At a dinner party, lavish, candlelit, soaked in wine and showmanship, Britannicus lifts a goblet to his lips. He chokes, gasps, collapses. The room freezes. Nero feigns surprise. The poison works fast, too fast. Britannicus dies right there, face down in a silver dish. And you just stare at Nero. He's not your boy anymore. Not the curious child with questions about stars and poetry. Not the awkward teen you once protected from Rome's wolves. He's become a wolf, and he just killed the one person who made him feel vulnerable. Scholars still debate whether this moment was the true break between you and Nero, whether this was when he looked at you and saw not his mother, but his final obstacle. Because from here, things get worse. He starts avoiding you completely, publicly. He marries Poppaea Sabina, a woman you detest. You try to stop the marriage. Maybe you threaten her. Maybe you threaten him. In one version, you slap him in front of the Senate. Whatever happened, Nero decides, enough. You're summoned to your villa on the coast. It's not a banishment, not exactly. He says it's for your own peace, that you deserve rest, that the city is too loud. You don't argue, because you know what this is: isolation before erasure. You move into a grand villa by the sea, surrounded by guards who answer to him, not you. Your letters are read. Your visitors decline. You sit on the balcony at night, staring into the ocean, wondering what kind of fool builds an empire through her child. You still wear your rings. You still practice your speeches, but the walls are closing in. And Rome has moved on. From Nero. He wants to reconcile, he says. He misses you. He invites you to a dinner, a small gathering, on a boat, something private, something like old times. You smile faintly, because of course he's lying. But you say yes, because you're still Agrippina the Younger. You're not going down without a performance. You arrive at the docks dressed in deep indigo, subtle, regal, untouchable, the kind of color that whispers, "I taught the emperor everything he knows." The air is warm. The torches flicker along the piers. The waves are calm, but your gut tells you the water isn't the danger here. Nero greets you with a smile. It's strained, the way a lion smiles right before the pounce. You hug him gently, a performance for the sailors nearby. He kisses your cheek like a dutiful son, but his hands are cold. The ship they've prepared is luxurious: silk cushions, perfumed lamps, a small crew. He says he had it built especially for you. You know that's not a gift. It's a coffin with sails. Still, you board, like a queen going to her execution, like someone who's died 100 political deaths already and knows how to pose for the next. The boat sets off quietly. Nero waves from the pier. The sea glitters under the moon. You settle into a seat, sip the wine, and listen. No birds, just waves and the occasional creak of wood under your feet. You run your hand along the railing. You feel the loose bolts. You look up, and there it is, a trap mechanism built into the ceiling. Subtle, crude. Oh, Nero. Suddenly, a loud crack. The roof collapses, but it misses you. A slave beside you is crushed instantly. You roll instinctively, ducking under a broken plank, blood in your mouth, splinters in your hands. Then another sound, this time beneath you. A groan from the hull. The boat begins to tilt. You hear shouting, then splashing, then screams. They're sinking the boat, but not fast enough. You jump. You hit the water hard. Cold slaps your face. You kick, float, swim barely. One sandal gone. Your hair heavy with salt. You're disoriented, gasping. But you don't die. Fishermen nearby, maybe loyal, maybe just curious, pull you aboard their skiff. They recognize you. Their eyes go wide. You don't speak. You just nod. You're alive. And Nero? He's panicking because the entire city now knows what he tried, and worse, you survived it. You limp into your villa before sunrise, bruised, barefoot, soaked, but upright. Servants scream when they see you. You wave them off. Then you send a message to Nero. It reads, "I survived, my son. Shall we try again at dinner?" It's the most Roman thing you've ever done, and the most dangerous. Because Nero is no longer pretending. The facade is over. The reconciliation is dead, and the Emperor of Rome is terrified of a woman in her 40s who just won't die. So he tries again. This time, no boat, no spectacle, no performance, just a dagger. You're in your bedroom, robes on, lamp low, the sea humming gently beyond the window, when the assassin arrives. One man, maybe two, sent by Nero, loyal only to gold and fear. You don't scream. Instead, you rise. Some say your last words were, "Strike my womb first." That's where he came from. That's where the betrayal started. Scholars still debate whether that quote is real or poetic invention, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that you knew exactly how this story ends, and you met it standing up. Not crying, not begging, not alone. You die the way you lived, sharp, dignified, dangerous to the very end. When the sun rises over your villa, there's blood on the floor and silence in the halls. Nero receives the message that you're dead. He doesn't celebrate, because even gone, you haunt him.
Rome is quiet after your death. Too quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. This is the kind that hangs in the air like smoke after a fire. Everyone saw the flames. Everyone felt the heat. And now? Now they're pretending it didn't happen. You're dead. And yet, your presence lingers. Nero tries to spin it. He claims it was a failed plot, that you were conspiring against him, that he had no choice. The Senate nods. The public murmurs. Statues disappear. Coins with your face stop circulating. Your name is softly removed from speeches and inscriptions. But here's the thing about ghosts. The more people try to erase them, the louder they get. And you were never just a name. You were a force. Even in death, your fingerprints are on everything Nero does next. He tries to rule alone now. No more advisors, no more mother, just Nero and his ego stretched thin across the marble throne like a silk robe in a thunderstorm. At first, he thrives in the absence of your control. He performs on stage, sings in public, races chariots in the Circus Maximus. The people love it. For about 5 minutes. Then they start whispering, "He killed his own mother." It doesn't matter if they believe the details, they believe enough. And guilt? Guilt has a funny way of seeping into everything. Nero begins seeing you in his dreams. He claims your ghost visits him at night, sometimes accusing, sometimes silent. He orders magic rituals to drive you away, sacrifices, blood rites. He begs Eastern mystics to cleanse the palace of your memory. It doesn't work. He builds you a modest tomb, a quiet gesture, almost apologetic. He fills it with perfumes and silk, tries to make it look respectful, like he's mourning, like the murder wasn't personal. But everyone knows. You raised him. You made him emperor, and in return, you gave him a boat rigged to collapse and a knife to the womb. That doesn't fade easily. Meanwhile, Rome begins to slip.
The Senate grows restless, the army is watching, the people are tired of performance art and purges. Nero's rule starts to wobble, and in the back of everyone's mind is the same thought. Agrippina would have never let this happen, because for all your manipulations, all your ambition, Rome worked when you were in charge. It functioned, it feared, it obeyed. You kept the wheels turning. Nero? He's spinning them off the rails. There's a strange detail here, maybe apocryphal, maybe not. It's said that Nero once confessed to a friend, "I loved my mother, I just had to kill her." Not out of hatred, out of survival. He believed you would never stop, that you'd keep pulling the strings, that he could never truly be emperor until you were gone. And maybe he was right. But now he's alone, and for the first time in his life, there's no one left to shield him from his own worst instincts. And Rome can feel it. The empire you helped shape is still here, still beautiful, still violent, but it's shakier now. Like a chair with one leg too short, like a boy on a throne who no longer hears the whisper of his mother in his ear. You're gone, but you're never more present. Time moves strangely when you're dead, but still powerful. Your story, your myth, becomes a weapon in the hands of those left behind. Senators, poets, even common citizens retell your tale, sometimes with admiration, sometimes with venom. Some say you were a goddess in human form, a woman who bent emperors to her will, who controlled fate with a glance. Others whisper that you were a witch, a poisoner, a destroyer of men. Your life becomes a legend, tangled with fact and fiction. People still debate your motivations. Was it pure ambition that drove you, or a desperate love for your son, twisted into something dark? Scholars still argue whether Agrippina's ruthless maneuvers were necessary for survival in the brutal world of Roman politics, or simply the lust for power cloaked in motherhood. You become the symbol of a mother who refused to be forgotten, even if that meant stepping on everyone else. Meanwhile, Nero's reign continues to spiral. He alienates his allies, squanders treasure, and performs outrageous spectacles. His paranoia grows. He fears conspiracies around every corner. In his moments of lucidity, some say he remembers you, regrets, maybe even mourns. But it's too late. Rome is no longer the steady ship it was under your guidance. Your legacy? A double-edged sword. You showed the empire how to wield power from behind the scenes, how to manipulate succession, how to survive in a world ruled by men who would gladly kill their own kin. But you also taught Rome that power comes at a cost Nero now pays. Sometimes, when the sun sets over the Tiber and the city's noises fade, you can almost hear the whispers of your own ambition echoing through the marble halls. The empire remembers you, it fears you, and maybe in its own way, it still needs you. You drift through the stories told about you, like a shadow that never fully fades. In the minds of Romans and later historians, you become the ultimate example of maternal ambition and its dangers. They say you poisoned Claudius to clear the way for Nero. They say you seduced your uncle to climb higher. They say you schemed to control the empire through your son's reign, pulling strings from the shadows. But beneath the rumors and scandal lies a more complex truth. You were a woman playing a brutal game in a world designed to crush you. Imagine the constant fear, waking every day knowing that one misstep could mean exile, imprisonment, or death. You learned to move like a snake, silent, patient, striking when least expected. In your lifetime, empires rose and fell on the decisions of powerful men, but you proved that women could hold just as much influence, even if history tries to forget it. Scholars still argue whether Agrippina was a villain or a survivor, a manipulator, or a mother who did what she had to do. What isn't debated is this: you shaped an era. You altered the course of Roman history with your ambition, your courage, and your unyielding will. And as you listen from beyond the veil, you might smile at the irony. The empire you helped create is both your monument and your cage. Power, after all, is a story told again and again. And yours, it's one that refuses to end. Now, imagine yourself in Rome's bustling streets centuries later, where your name is whispered like a warning, a cautionary tale about ambition and power, about the price of control. You watch playwrights paint you as a villainess, their scripts heavy with poison and betrayal, your character a seductress who used every weapon at her disposal. You see poets composing verses that alternately vilify and glorify you, crafting a complex portrait of a woman who dared to shape her own destiny in a man's world. In art and literature, your image shifts constantly, sometimes a mother, sometimes a monster, sometimes a martyr. Your legacy is a mirror held up to society's fears about powerful women. They fear you because you broke the mold, because you refuse to be silent or submissive. And yet beneath all the gossip and the myth, there's a deeper lesson in your story. A reminder that power is never given, only taken and defended with relentless determination. You are a testament to survival in a world that offered few chances to women who dared to dream beyond their assigned roles. Even now, scholars still debate your true intentions, your feelings, your fears. Were you cruel, protective, both, neither? You don't answer. You simply remain, an enigma wrapped in history, haunting the corridors of time. And as the city of Rome sleeps under the stars, you drift in the wind, whispering tales of ambition, love, and the unbreakable bonds between mother